Again, another clean sheet for Napoli against a Cremonese side that was never going to score.
It's hard to adapt it within only a few games playing together.
This Inter team, the reason why we're 15 points away from Napoli is because we've been inconsistent.
Hey, that
You
doesn't
look like
make
you
it
just
on my
bought a
side.
team. You know, like when an owner buys a team and they put the scarf right around him right away?
You should buy calcio.
Maybe I'll make them an offer.
That they can't refuse.
Yeah, put a fuck.
And that's why we can go live.
Nick, don't cut this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new episode of IFTV, aka Italian Football TV. On my left, over
He goes
here.
the opposite way.
On my, it's not on my left. It's my left.
I meant Italian Football TV, a.k.a. IFTV.
AKA, yeah. AKA, also
Yeah.
known as
Oh, okay. Sorry, continue.
Kurt or Peter, M&M's, Marco Messina, and MK, Michael Kor, or AKA Michael Cantares. Okay?
No one
Michael
calls me that. No one
Cantares.
calls me
Il
that.
Greco.
There we
Okay?
go. I like that.
And your nickname?
What? My
How about
nickname? I don't
yourself?
have a
Oh, you
nickname.
don't have
Antonio the GOAT.
The goat.
Antonio the Goat, yes.
The GOAT.
Somebody mentioned you in the comment section.
Which one?
Somebody.
And
Where?
they call me the Goat? I am a Goat.
Yeah.
What was the guy that you always talk to? That used to always leave a comment about you?
Yazan?
Chuck.
Oh, Chuck.
Chuck. Yeah, that's you.
I like him.
That was you,
That's
right?
not me.
That was you.
That's not
That
me.
was Antonio, aka.
Chuck.
BS.
Antonio,
on the same wavelength.
aka
Yeah, you
Chuck.
guys
There
are
we
jealous
go.
that nobody says anything about you guys the way they talk
They
about
say
me.
I'm short in the comments.
You're sure?
That's what they say in the comments. I think they're lying though.
My
No,
chair's
stay
short.
there, stay there.
No.
Stay there, stay there.
Look at that. Look at
I'm
that.
begging you, I'm begging
They're
you.
making me short,
Michael
guys.
and Antonio are basically the same size in real life. In case you ever run into
Don't
that.
embarrass me.
Watch the
Where are you
camera.
going? Come back.
Okay,
God.
so topic of the day. Do you
Back
have the
to
right
real
now?
What's the topic of the day? No, we don't have.
Normally I see you something written down, but right now
Let's
it's
go. We're having a
free fall.
conversation.
Okay, so let's start with the breaking news. I just walked into the studio not knowing because I was in traffic. What happened between Sampdoria and Inter? Second to last, or second place to second to last. You know, 2-2. So I figured I said, hey, top to bottom, you can at least score 6 or 7 goals with Lautaro.
7 goals.
Lautaro, Lukaku, La Lula.
La Lula.
Yeah.
Where'd
Yeah.
you get that from?
You are. I think Inter is the most up and down team, the most hot and cold team in the world.
One off.
You guys can go from beating Napoli to then winning the derby, then losing at Empoli, and drawing against Sampdoria. How do you explain this team?
Oh, don't worry. He's going to pick up something from his heart. He's a magician for that.
This time he has a hat.
He's going to twist a bunch of words into a pretzel. He's going to come up with
Let's
a
see what he's
perfect
got.
explanation. Go
The
ahead.
first thing I would say is, versus Napoli, we were defensively sound and we were able to get the goal, and that's why we were able to win 1-0. Empoli, red card in the first half, changes the outcome of this game. There, you shouldn't lose it, but
The magician.
you should be able
What's in
to.
that? What's in that?
You know, with the red card in the first half, it's very hard to play within Serie A and go on to win. And then today, it was just a matter of missed opportunities. And this is something that we've harped on numerous times. I don't mean to be a broken record, but we miss a lot of chances. I mean, just Inter had 2 chances in 2 minutes of this game, okay? Lautaro missed his chance. Lukaku seems to be still, half of himself, unfortunately.
Literally.
You
Di
know,
Marco missed an easy chance.
Di Marco. Then even up
Hakan.
until the last minute, Lautaro literally had the ball.
In the
it
box.
kind of came off the wrong side of his chest.
But he scores
even
against
there,
AC
should have
Milan,
been
this
able
guy.
to
How
score.
can he score against AC Milan? He can
Listen,
freaking score against
the
Sampdoria.
ball is round, right?
the
They
ball
say
is
that in
round.
Italian.
Ah,
Yeah,
no,
the ball is
freaking
round.
kidding me.
So, it rolls one way or the other.
So did you take back all the compliments that you made to Lautaro and all of those stuff, those guys when they won against AC Milan on the derby?
Listen,
Did you take it back?
take back what? Exactly.
What you just said about them?
What?
That they were, those are that Lautaro's been playing like a champion and this and that. With this team, we can win the Champions League. We are this.
I did not even say that. I did not even say that.
Maybe you didn't
I
say
think
it on
we were
the
talking
mic.
about.
I heard him too, Anto.
We were
I
too-
heard
heard
him.
him.
I
You
heard
said
him.
it in
I heard him.
the
He said it
mic.
in his head.
He did.
I
He
think
said it
so.
in your head, Anto.
You see?
Vada.
Hey, I got witness.
You got witness,
Even
man.
Enrico. Hey, didn't you say that too? He said it, right? That Inter can win the Champions too. Okay, so even Enrico over
That's
here,
true.
I don't know about
which
that.
is my producer, is telling me
Is
that
he
it's true.
producer?
Yeah.
How much you paying?
Yeah, we got our producer Enrico. Pete, what do you got?
First off,
Football games.
that's not true. I did not say that. So second,
It's like he's on stand in a court. Your Honor, I did not.
Nobody believes you.
You're going to jail, buddy, for life.
Throw the key away.
Where's the hammer?
Nobody believes you. Nobody believes you.
Listen, this Inter team, the reason why we're 15 points away from Napoli is because we've been inconsistent. So it's just a testimony of this season that we've been inconsistent this whole year. At times it's because we let in too many goals, and in this case, we're not able to score goals. We made a couple of changes, and I just wanted to pick up on one thing where Goosens is such a disappointment, man. Every time I think he has the opportunity to show something, aside from the Barcelona game when he came in and not necessarily changed it, but scored the goal and created some havoc versus Barca, I thought that was going to be the turning point. But it's been just a terrible stint at Inter. He doesn't take on the player. He doesn't put in a cross. I mean, today we saw so many terrible first touches, and I remember the player that he was in Atalanta, and we're not talking about a player that did had a one-hit wonder season. He did it consistently with Atalanta, and granted there was a system in place in Atalanta, but with Inter, with the caliber of players, you're gonna get goals, you're gonna get the assists. And I mean, even Inzaghi, his style is all about this wing back position and then the play there. And when we don't have anything happening from our flanks, that's where you see that Inter misses out on opportunities. And we're not deadly enough. We're not lethal. In the first half, the game should have been over 2-0.
So
Put it to bed.
What does it come down to with Goosens? Because we have seen the production of talent is incredible. They are so great at spotting talent, paying $2-3 million for him and selling them off for $30-40 million. But we have seen a lot of players, Gagliardini, another one that plays for Inter, that when they leave that Atalanta system, they don't always perform the way that they did there. Kessie's one of the outliers. Of course, Kessie was amazing, but there are a lot of examples of those types of players. You think that's what it comes down to? Or is it something at Inter that you think is not working?
I think Goosens is a particular case because that last year that he was with Atalanta, he had 2 hamstring injuries. And, he never came back.
Yeah,
he never came back. And I don't know if it's something mentally, for him also, maybe because of experiencing the hamstring injuries. He's not one to push but meaning go after an opponent.
It's the big stage, probably. It's frightening, It probably feels a lot more responsibility when you're in San Siro. In Bergamo, it's like a...
It's different. I agree. I think it's different,
San Siro,
but
man.
Goosens was playing in Champions League.
It's
He
not
was
just
playing in
that,
Champions
but
League.
no. I agree with Peter on this. I don't think he was scared. He was doing it in the highest level and making the top 4 with Gasperini, doing incredible in Europe. And I just think it was the injuries and he didn't fully recover from that. Plus DiMarco playing extremely well, keeping him on the bench. His confidence, wasn't the highest because of that. So it was a mixture of many, and it was a new club at the end of the day. So it's multiple factors. I don't think it was just one thing.
I think it's a mental thing, man, because even when he first came to Inter, Perisic was on fire.
But he came in injured, didn't he? Didn't he arrive injured?
Yeah, but
he
wasn't like fully fit. I remember.
Yeah, he wasn't fully fit, but he was already ready like a month in, like February, March.
But Perisic was like unbelievable.
But Perisic, you couldn't take him off. And it's the same case with DiMarco. The thing is, when you have the chances, like today, where you have the opportunity to play and do something, he's probably one of the worst players on the field, for Inter. And that's not good enough. Like even on the bench, you need to be competing for the starting position. You need to be pushing for the top 11, and unfortunately, I don't see enough of him.
It could be that Gaetano is right though, Pete, because Gaetano keeps saying that this Inzaghi is not really on the top of his list because maybe he doesn't get the maximum out of those players. Are you telling me that Gasperini is capable to make this guy here work at 20 cylinder, even if he's got a 12-cylinder engine, and this guy here is underperforming for Inter?
But it goes even beyond, I think, just Goosens, right? Because you're not going to judge a coach just off one player. I think there's a lot of issues where I know Mike looked over at me at one point during the Inter match, and he's like, Inzaghi lost the plot. Like you see him, and you're like, can this really be the coach that leads Inter next season? Like, okay, Napoli wins, right? Napoli wins the Scudetto because now it's 15 points. But at the same time, the performances we've seen from Inter, do they merit keeping him in the next transfer window? In the summer?
Unfortunately, that's something that you have to look at in the end of the season. I think we're not at a point where we're going to sack him now.
Of course,
it's
yes.
something that you have to look forward to. But what I'm saying, unfortunately, is the fact that Inter right now in the position that they are financially, they're not in the position to say, "Hey, we're going to drop somebody that's on contract to go get another guy that's gonna." Who are you getting?
Like you can't get Simeone.
You can't get guys that are gonna want 10 million a year.
Didn't I just sign him for a bigger extension?
They did, but that's what I'm saying. So you can't drop.
Saying.
You can't drop them now or say, okay, we need to go after someone else. In this circumstance, the way that Inter is right now in financial debt and having question marks as far as ownership and what can be done on the transfer market, we don't know who we could afford. And then Inter's not a team that you can take risks. So you have already Inzaghi on board, under contract. He's going to stay there.
But Pierre, I just want to say, do you see Inzaghi, what you're seeing now, is this what he's got? You think he has more to offer, or do you think it's going to basically be more up and down?
I agree with you, Mike.
Overall, like last season, we gave them benefit of the doubt first season.
Lazio's a different market.
We're halfway through this season now. Do you think we're not going to see any change from Inzaghi? How it's going to be? And let's not talk about better players and
changes
stuff.
Meaning in style,
because there's
right?
just in general how he plays, his formation, his substitution, just his whole package.
Inzaghi still has a lot to learn as a coach in the sense that he has not touched the Holy Land. He has not won anything.
The Holy Land, I like that.
He hasn't won anything. So
Scudetto, you mean?
Scudetto, yes.
I
mean a Scudetto because listen, Supercoppa is one game, and yes, it's against a tough opposition, but you can win that one game. And even in a Coppa Italia, up until the quarterfinals, semifinals,
the competition is
your competition is okay. Like there's nothing crazy. You can get through there.
It really is a second competition for Milan, Inter, Juve, a lot of like the really big clubs that are in there. They don't. Napoli. They don't see Coppa Italia. You're not going to celebrate Coppa Italia. Coppa Italia would be incredible if Cremonese won it. If Fiorentina won it on that side because they celebrate a trophy because they're not competing for something big. But if we're calling a spade, it can't be that you say, all right, he won the Supercoppa and Coppa Italia for 2 years, he's fine.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. It's like to win the Scudetto is an art. Okay, it's being able to manage 38 games and more because you have the Champions League, Coppa Italia, and everything else in between. Being able to take a team and make sure through 38 games that they're able to maintain a high level, which is very, very hard at this level. And we see it. Aside from Napoli, all the teams have been up and down. So what I wanted to get at is Inter of the past went after the Mourinho, right? Guys that have proven to win. The Inter of right now, of what we have to go after the guys that could become a top coach. And that makes a difference because when you get the top coach that's ready, you were able to make something happen. Conte, for example, was a coach that has won in the past. People might not have agreed with his tactics or his style of play, but one thing. Antonio Conte is a winner.
Yep.
Okay? Inzaghi, we don't know if he's a winner. And we still have to see.
It's a gamble. But do you see him staying next season?
It's not so much a gamble. It's more so you're in a financial situation where you cannot go after the guys that have won because you cannot compete.
Speaking of Antonio Conte, your team, Milan, is playing against him tomorrow for us.
Oh boy.
A situation where...
What time is the game, by the way?
2:45.
I'll be here. I'm canceling the
It'll be today for you guys watching.
Our producer Enrico said 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Thank you.
Are you going to be here?
Producer Enrico.
That's why
you can't see
2-0 for what? For us?
For Milan.
We're winning. We're losing.
Wow.
No, you're too optimistic.
So both teams, they're both coming in and not the best of form. Tottenham, another team that's very hot and cold because they beat Manchester City and then they lose 4-1 at the weekend to Leicester City. They're going to be without Bentancur, who tore his ACL, and Hugo Lloris, their goalkeeper. I think he's out 6 weeks or so. You're also missing Benacer because Pioli said he's not 100%. He's not ready to make it. And, of course, Magic Mike Maignan.
Tomori's in for tomorrow's game?
I think Tomori's there, right?
Maybe. I don't think he's still injured. Maybe. So it doesn't really matter. AC Milan is not running at the full speed right now.
Yeah.
Can you check the probables on Sky?
We can get the
Let's see
producer.
what it is.
We get the producer to.
Producer, check
Mr.
Sky. We got the
Producer,
producer.
the- our
Thanks,
producer is
Enrico.
checking,
So how do you feel?
information.
How do you feel about this game? Because obviously Champions League is important for you. It feels like the goalpost has shifted
Well-
because you need to qualify for Champions League in the Serie A at this point.
We got lucky to win against Torino, even though we didn't play at the level to deserve that full 1-0. You know, we took a dirty win because we need it. And I don't know if that's going to translate to into a positive results playing Tottenham, regardless of the results that of losing against Leinster 4-1. I think Tottenham they're physically more prepared than us, and I think the Conte structure is still in place. As far as I know, nothing major. I mean, Lloris is a goalkeeper. It's not really a world-class goalkeeper. It's a French goalkeeper, but nothing to brag about it.
he's
He was
pretty
in the
good.
final.
He's pretty
Doesn't
good.
matter.
He's
It's
made
not because of him.
significant
he made
mistakes at Tottenham this year.
So,
I watched one game where he literally threw
and
the match away.
Betancourt
with
is
him.
a reject from Juventus.
No, but he's been good at Tottenham.
Ah, he's been good. Okay, but nevertheless, it's nothing.
So you're not
nothing.
feeling confident going into this game?
No, I don't.
Well, about what part of Milan in particular?
No,
that
we
you're
don't
not
have. We don't have the defense. Are
defense. Yeah, I
our
agree with
defense
you
is
on
not.
that.
It's not set to face those guys.
Which defense though? Are you gonna go 4-man or 3-man?
Well, I just
disaster.
hope it doesn't go. It doesn't go with the 3-3. If you're
Three
gonna
would be
go,
bad.
Tomori's in.
Tomori's in. Okay, then you can go maybe 3-4-3. You with Tomori in, I'm more
Is
confident.
it 3-4-3, producer?
If you use 3-4-3, okay.
3-4-3.
See, 3-4-3, I'm more confident because you need to buffer the midfield a little bit more. You know, I think the three defender is going to be Tomori, Kalulu, and maybe Theo Hernandez on the left, and then the four midfielders.
He's gonna be on the wing. Theo.
Huh?
Theo's probably gonna be
Yeah,
on the
but
left
that's what
mid.
I'm saying. But he's going to slide back on the 4-3-3 when we
Yeah,
defend.
but who's other
me.
center back is what we're saying.
The three: Tomori, Kalulu, and Theo.
No, Theo's gonna be on the left mid.
Yeah,
Ciao.
Ciao,
So
maybe
Chow's gonna be the
Ciao,
center
maybe
back.
Ciao.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
But-
Ciao, and Ray.
Kalulu,
Yeah.
Ciao, and Tomori.
Tomori.
Those are the
Okay,
three that are in the
alright,
probable
fine.
right now. Salamakers, Tonali, Krunic, Theo Hernandez, Diaz, Giroud, Leao. My thing is with the 3-man backline, you switched to it in the past
No,
couple
it's
days,
not
right?
good.
You went up in the derby against the Inter with the 3-man backline, which was a total disaster of a game because Milan lost the true identity of the team, which last year loved to attack, loved to go forward. This was only just don't concede a goal. You go up against an Inzaghi who always plays the 3-man backline, right? You do the same thing against Torino, 3-man backline. Now you're going up against Conte, who loves a 3-man backline. You know, it scares me because of how it limits your team. Are you not worried about that?
I am. That's why the reasons why I like to be very conservative. For me, if I was in place, I was in charge, I will use a 4-4-2 because number one, the midfielders we have in place right now. If I had a Benacer, I would be more confident at 3-4-3. But Benacer is not there. Benacer is a workhorse. The guy's all over the place. It's like Barella. It's like Barella what he does for Inter. Maybe even better because he is good in building up the
very
game,
good.
and then he's good even when he's playing even in front of
Okay,
Tonali.
well, he's not available.
But it's not available.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If I had him in the 3-4-3,
How do
I
you win
would
this
feel
game?
more confident.
How do you win this game against Tottenham? How do you think?
You don't win. You have to limit the damage from Keane, from the forward line that they have because they're deadly forward line.
yeah.
They have Son, they have Keane, they have Kane,
Kulusevski.
and Kulusevski.
Yeah.
So when you limit the damage and you can just you play on a counter with the speed, you have the hope that Leao is got a good game, Theo Hernandez got a good game. You already with the speed. The only way to keep them on the back over there is to challenge them with the speed on the counter.
Yeah.
So and you have to keep the line a little high. Do not back up the same way you did it when you played Inter. And
How
do
you
not
gonna
back up
counter?
the same way. What do you mean how you gonna counter? You build up the midfielder is gonna be the screen for them.
Yeah, but you said you wanted a counter attack.
Yes.
So if you counter attack, you're gonna have to sit back.
But not too far back. I will still keep the Giroud, what's his
Diaz
name?
and Leao.
Diaz and
Leao.
Leao at the midfield line. That's why my waiting and see, not on the 3/4. When you back them to the 3/4, then you getting yourself, you backing yourself into the hole. Okay, so I wanted the three line, the offensive line to be slightly behind midfield, not a midfield, but slightly behind, ready on a counter on a long toss to just take them on.
The thing that scares me now with this Spurs side is I think it's going to be very hard for Milan to control the high tempo from Spurs because we know how Conte plays. And Conte, I think, obviously knows Milan very well. I'm sure he watches Serie A more than any other coach in Premier League. So that's a big disadvantage for Milan. And that 3-man back line, I'm not happy about it at all, especially in Europe when you're not comfortable with playing 3-man back. It's hard to adapt it within only a few games playing together. So to me, I think that's going to be a very tough thing that Pioli does if he ends up going through with that probable lineup. And overall, the form, I know Tottenham hasn't been in the best form. The form of Milan has been not good at all. So I'm feeling a little pessimistic, to be honest. But
individual
we'll
performances.
But Marco,
I think
listen,
you mentioned the two guys.
Listen to me. This is the way I see it. You want to avoid to have a fight on a place that where you're gonna lose in which is the midfield. You just go long toss. If you're listening to me, Paisan, Pioli, listen to me. Just tell your defender to just starting to practice the long toss, because you want to just go over the midfield and just bypass the midfield of Tottenham. Once you put them on their knees, they have the backup. They're not going to be able to stay on the forward line compacted and short as a team. So if you're starting to just do long toss once you get in the ball and just starting to put the speed of AC Milan to work, then you're going to see a good game. But you have to play very smart.
It'll come down to individual performances. Yeah. It's Theo Hernandez and Leao on that left side. I think that's where you can kill teams. If those guys want to play, if they feel motivated to play, and if they're on their game, Milan can win the match. But if they're not, I don't see much of a chance there. The only thing that gives me a little bit of hope is Conte's European record has not always been great. We know how he's tried to balance out between Champions League, between the league. So those are my hopes. Not in the best of form. If you gave me this game in September, I would feel so confident about Milan's chances. But it's a completely different side, and they look like a shell of themselves compared to the team that started.
November.
Sorry, before 2023.
Before the Roma game.
Before the World Cup.
Before World Cup, yeah. But better than that.
Anything else, or we move on?
I think, like Antonio said, with Benacer, that's the most important player for this Milan team in that midfield. So not having him is an issue when you're versing a top team. Because listen, let's face it, even if Tottenham's not having a great campaign, they still have a very, very good players. So I think that Milan are going to have to defend in numbers, drop back a little bit to be able to then launch Leao. So I do agree with your approach to the game. It's just unfortunate to see that this Milan team, I don't know what it will take for them to get out of what's going on, this funk. Is this 1-0 versus Torino good enough? Or
it's a confidence builder, the way I see it. And then
but you can't read too much into it. We need to see what the team does tomorrow.
Well, let me just say one more thing, okay? So AC Milan, we know in what the situation that they have right now. We're not going to be complaining about the injuries. We just have to do the best with what we can, the best that we have, the best we can with what we have right now. So the midfield has been a problem for us. Tonali, he hasn't been the same Tonali that I remember 3 games or 4 games ago. Mm-hmm. Even when we lost, Tonali always played a great game. Mm-hmm. The last couple games,
it's not the same.
Tonali is scaring me.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes. A lot of easy mistakes.
Yeah,
even just starting, on the build up and on the stuff.
When it rains, it pours.
Right?
When it rains, it pours.
When it rains, it pours. So what I'm saying is,
bring umbrella.
We need to just calm down and simplify everything.
You watched Rihanna's halftime show, didn't you?
Of course.
The Rihanna? Well, who cares about Rihanna?
He said umbrella.
The umbrella. Under the umbrella. Ella, A. Nick, do you like my song, Nick?
I didn't know you could sing.
I can sing. Don't get me started. But anyway, hey, is a tie a good result for us because it's on a 2-game stretch, right?
I think it would be
100%. Are you kidding?
Okay, I will take a tie and a win.
Depends on the game is. I'll take a tie and a win. Yeah.
Under the umbrella, I'll win it. I'll take the tie under the umbrella too. Okay.
Why are you stuttering when you say it?
You're supposed to start. Umbrella.
He's right. Under my umbrella. Yeah, he's right.
I guess.
He's supposed to start.
But you sound like a robot when you sing.
That's not all you sound like.
Mr. Producer, how did I do so far with my sing? Okay.
Let's move on to Napoli.
Okay.
Napoli now can slip up 5 games. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15 points. If they lost 5 games, that would mean that Inter still need to win all of those games,
which is not
and Napoli would still be in first place.
Don't get your hope too high. This is not going to happen.
No, my hopes are not getting high. I'm just saying that at this point for Napoli, they're in 7th heaven. Not only is everything going well for them, besides the teams that are below them, they also win their game. The games that they're supposed to win, they don't slip up. I always think to myself, every time before the game, I say, am I crazy if I say, is today going to be the day that they slip up? And slip up meaning like maybe just tie. Cremonese is in last place.
Or not score 3 goals in a row.
Yeah, they need to do something. Maybe rotate. But even against Cremonese, he played, if I'm not mistaken, he played the same team that he's played 2 other times before. 3 times in a row. He has Osimhen. He's got Kvara. He doesn't want to rotate because he wants to win the game right away. There's no calculations needed. And when the team goes out there with the spirit, with the calmness, and with the confidence that they have, you see Kvara, game changer.
Birthday boy.
They do give him a lot of space. Seb Nicola, I believe, is the one who's trying to defend him. He gives him a lot of space. He will burn you and kill you when he does that. Again, another clean sheet for Napoli against a Cremonese side that was never going to score. Even though they played a good game, they were in the match, but without Okereke and without Dessers, those 2 players combined, out of the 15 goals that they've scored this season, Cremonese, they've been involved in 9 of them. So 60% of their goals were already wiped away. Opportunity to get them. This is a reality of a team, just to touch on Cremonese, that they had so many players that they had from Serie A teams that were on loan last year. Gianluca Gaetano, I think he had 7 or 8 goals for them last year. They had Fagioli, Ocoli. They lost them. They brought in players that don't really know the Serie A, that are not up to this level, and they're going down as one of the worst teams I think we've ever seen in Serie A history.
Not in Coppa Italia, though.
Not in Coppa Italia.
But I think the big question here is, the Spalletti next week when he's playing in Champions League, are we gonna start seeing some rotation, or is he gonna be like, no, I want to start a full team, I want to start Osimhen, I want to start what is it? Osimhen, keep on the bench, keep Kvara on the bench, put Elmas there instead, who's being great. Simeone is very good off the bench. He doesn't need to, though.
In Champions League, he doesn't need to rotate.
No, the game before the Champions League.
Yeah, he should.
Do you think he will, or do you think he's gonna stick to like, no, I'm gonna stay the same. I don't want to underestimate.
I think he has to rotate.
Who did they play before the champion? Who did they play before the champion? Another stupid
Producer
team.
Enrico.
Who did they play? Napoli.
Who does Napoli play next?
Napoli.
Yeah, who do they play next?
No, Campionato. No, you have to rotate before the Champions, especially with a 5-game.
Sassuolo.
Okay,
Sassuolo.
Yo, he's coming for your job, Enrico.
5.
I want that raise. But
Sassuolo too slow.
But Sassuolo are fighting to stay up too. So, like, what do you do if you're Spalletti?
No, but what I'm trying to say is you give the trust in the other players, because Osimhen is gone. Simeone is a viable option.
Yeah.
Raspadori, Elmas scored yesterday.
Lozano, Politano.
These guys can all come in, and I think anybody can really play. The only big question is the defense when Juan Jesus has to come in, or De Lorenzo doesn't play. They got Birinzinski, but he doesn't offer the same quality as Napoli's defense, their starting lineup. So Napoli, I think, even in Naples, who usually are very, very superstitious. I just saw I don't know if you saw the video. No. The guy with a tattoo, and he has the Scudetto with the number 3. Okay, which is the 3rd Scudetto.
What, they skin him or something over there?
They asked him if he was from the future, because he said it's already over.
I think at this point, so it's like any doubt that you had about it, it's got to be gone.
Everyone is feeling it right now. Everyone is feeling it right now. And I think Spalletti can juggle or can manage the situation a little bit and not really risk much, because he can literally lose 2-3 games and still have the direction of Scudetto right in front of him. So
for them, it's not that easy to lose game. I think they go over there not even with a big drive to win, because everything is coming so natural to them that they win the game. No, it's like a default when you press.
Yeah, but they have the quality.
With a enter key on
Antonio,
the
everything's going right now.
But they're playing without much pressure, though, which is weird.
They're playing fun. I feel like if you put if you throw Antonio on there, I feel like he's gonna feel more. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna play along. Everything. No, I'm just saying everything's clicking, so everyone's on the same page. That's a compliment. I said you can play for the.
I can play for Napoli.
For the Scudetto winning team.
That's gonna win the Scudetto.
For sure.
But right now, like, they can put anyone, and it just works. They play well. They play positive. It's clicking. They don't have that pressure. They're so much far ahead, and the locker room's all there. They all believe in it.
It's like the same thing that we say every week from Napoli. There's no slip ups. They do their job. They get it done, and they have the quality. And I like that Spalletti has said a couple times, like, we can't play scared. Football is a very tough game to play when you're nervous. So I think a lot of those players, as we mentioned in the past, they don't have those same battle scars previously of losing things. But I have one of my buddies that's Napolitan, and I told him, I said, 15 points now, you got to be happy. He goes, no, something could happen. I said, what's going to happen?
It's true.
He goes, maybe they're going to take away points from us, in deductions. They're going to give us minus 15 points.
When that happens, Luna's going to be like, I knew it.
Yeah, but even if they take away 15 points, I say, you're still good. You're still there. But for the Napolitans, it's not yet, but it's getting as close as it could possibly get. Let's talk about Juventus, Fiorentina.
Oh my God.
1-0 win for Juventus.
Wow.
Game where both teams under a lot of pressure. Juventus under so much pressure to be able to get a result at home against Fiorentina, desperate for points, obviously, that we know. And a Fiorentina side that has been getting booed by their fans because of the loss to Bologna the week before. The results are not in line with where the team should be in the Serie A table. Yes, they're doing great in Coppa Italia, but they care about the Serie A because they want to go up and they want to get challenge in Europe, et cetera, et cetera. So they also were desperate, I think, for a result. I like the way that Fiorentina played the game. They frustrate me because they do a million things correct. Like their build-up is great. Their high pressure is great. The midfield movement is stunning. They find the triangles. They find the 1-2s. Players move off the ball to help each other out, but they get into the final third of the pitch, and it's like their brains go off, and they don't know what to do anymore. Like, they never feel dangerous to score a goal, and that's something that they need to be able to fix.
They don't have a real playmaker a killer in that box who really scored, to take the ball and be like, I'm going to score the goal. They don't have that since they sold Vlahovic.
Nico tries to set up, so I think they have a playmaker because he acts like that. He's like cutting in and he's looking to provide, something. But even Kwame, who for me is naturally a winger, plays as a number 9. You see his hold up play. He's a skinny guy.
He's small.
Doesn't fit there, and you drop Jovic, you drop Cabral because they haven't been in great form. Their confidence can't be very high.
Kwame is big. Ikone is small.
Kwame
is very skinny.
Kwame
is skinny. For number 9,
he's
saying.
He's like a breadstick.
Like as a striker,
you need someone heavy, like a Jovic.
He got a couple balls. I just say it because he got a couple balls, and I felt like he got bodied off of it a little bit. Needless to say, Juventus, they finally played the front three of Chiesa, Vlahovic, and Di Maria. You expected a lot. I mean, at least I thought I expected a lot. The midfield kept getting outrun, between Rabiot and Locatelli for the way that I saw the game. They score their goal, and then the substitutions, he starts taking off these players. And yes, it's a great win because Juventus, you just need to win at this point. That's the only thing that the fans care about. They need 3 points. The style, we know Allegri's not going to change. But I guess I thought maybe when he did get these front three, you were going to see it unleashed a little bit. And I think they have more quality to not just score 1-0 and then wrap things up against a Fiorentina side, which you leave them late and they nearly scored a goal. Yes, Vlahovic scored a goal that was the same thing, that was offsides by very little margins. But I don't know. I think that you're risking when you leave it 1-0 against a team that, for me, Juventus could have scored 2-3 goals if they just went forward.
But that's what Allegri does. He's up, and then he himself changes the momentum from the substitutions he makes. And he got very lucky that it was offside by the paint of his cleat, and that's why they ended up winning it. But this is the same. I don't want to keep saying this is the same thing. Allegri, he scores one and defends and hope they don't concede. That's not the way to go.
They kept going for a little. To be fair, like it wasn't right when they scored the first goal. It was at a point in the second half when he started making the substitutions.
But that's besides the point, though.
And then you just lock things up.
It's besides the point.
Again, you got to say Vlahovic nearly scored the goal, which would have been 2-0, and he was off by tiny. We could talk about the VAR after that. But I guess I just saying, I thought when I saw the front three, I thought they were going to really go for it, which I didn't see. But yes, they got the win.
So what's your goal for this Juventus? What would that make you happy to at the end of the campionato to say, we made what? We made what? What makes you good? Is going to make you feel
There's
happy?
nothing.
Win the court case.
No. Let him.
It depends on if they do get the 15 points back or if they don't get the 15 points back.
No. Answer my question. What is going to make you
Nothing.
happy?
There is nothing.
That Juventus is going to say, they made it into the UEFA, or they won the Coppa Italia, or they did this.
I don't think they'll even be happy
issue.
with Europa League. I mean, yes, it's better that you're in Europe than you're not in Europe, but for a team like Juventus to be in Europa League, I don't think they care for that. The revenues are better, but it's about if they get the 15 points back and they get into Champions League, that's where things would be like, all right, now it's like a season where everything nearly fell apart. but we made it happen.
You're not gonna get the 15 points back. Keep dreaming about it. You're not gonna get the 15
I just say
points
the
back.
two things so that we have both sides.
No.
That's it.
No. You're not gonna get the 15 points back. You're
I
not.
thought you're crazy.
Okay, so if they don't,
What are you, the judge?
So let's say that you don't get the 15 points back. Okay, what will that make you happy?
Nothing.
Just nothing.
Nothing,
Oh, that is what I wanted to hear about it. Okay. Okay. It keeps going with this. If forget about it.
I thought I have that.
Nothing is
He
gonna
has
make
a
you
worse
happy.
pretty. I thought that was
What
pretty
hat does he
obvious.
have?
Okay. So, what is gonna make you happy, Pete? To be second, third? Will that make you happy?
As long as I'm ahead of Milan, I'm happy.
Okay.
What were we gonna say about Juventus and Fiorentina?
Juventus Fiorentina, it's clear. Fiorentina is missing a number 9. We knew this from day one in Serie A. January, I think, should have been a time to bring in a player, and they weren't able to. There was rumors of Aubameyang going to LAFC for free, like with all expenses paid for. Chelsea have been desperately trying to get rid of him. I mean, maybe I don't know what goes on, behind the scenes, but Aubameyang could have been a striker, somebody. You got to try to, yeah.
Really, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like this is a guy that you should try to jump on. Chelsea needs to get rid of him. Needs to find a way, even a loan for 6 months, whatever the case might be. Try to help this team find quality player up top that can score goals.
And what makes you think he's gonna help you out, that guy? You got Zeke over there.
Yo,
You got
he's talking
Lautaro.
about Fiorentina.
Oh,
Fiorentina.
Fiorentina. I
Okay.
thought you said Inter.
No.
Oh.
Okay,
Inter,
sorry.
we did Inter.
Okay.
I take it back,
Thank
Paisa.
you.
That's all.
Then
Thank you.
you have
Thank you very much.
Icone, who's a disaster.
Nico
He
Gonzalez.
he tries to go through everybody. And then he makes the worst pass you ever see. Doldo is another one. Doldo is so frantic. He's running up here, this, and then he gives a stray ball in the middle. Like, there's a lot of mistakes that I don't know if, you can see on certain players' faces, like Nico Gonzalez. When the guy plays, he plays as if he has the knife in between his teeth.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have Icone, who's dribbling as if he's a ballerina. And at that point, you are versing Juventus.
Yeah, Icone,
You gotta go in full, or don't go in at all.
you have a
And then
point.
like even the fact of Italiano has Kwame as his number 9 just proves that he doesn't have many options, because Kwame versus a Danilo, Bremer, these guys are gonna physically manhandle Kwame. And maybe at that point you put in Cabral, but Cabral hasn't been able to score, so he's very limited up top. That's number 1.
Jovic has been disappointed too.
Yeah,
right, Pete?
disappointing. So a lot of things this year has not gone its way. Biraghi doesn't even have 1 assist. Biraghi, there's no one else stepping up in this team. So it's hard, because you see at times they miss the opportunities versus who was it when Bologna, I think they were almost to score. Then also versus Juventus, you score last minute, but it's taken away, which, to be fair, was similar to Juventus. So if anything, the game should have ended 2-1 if you're against this new VAR situation. But it's just disappointing to see this Fiorentina team, because I was hoping that they would have been able to make that.
And they
step
have
up.
that potential. That's the problem for me. It's like they're great at a lot of things. They can't get that final thing.
The thing that sucks
fixed.
with them is, like, for the most part, they have the same team from last season. So they got 2 strikers
without
in.
Vlahovic for the first half of the year.
Yeah, but they got 2
That's a
strikers
big
in.
difference,
They
though.
got Jovic from Real Madrid, who had an incredible season at Eintracht Frankfurt. So
He had one good season though.
Okay, so everyone thought, I was like, whatever, he's gonna be our guy. And then they got Cabral that did incredible in the Swiss league too. So it's not like, I guess maybe you go for someone in January, but they try their best. It's not like they got no names. They got some quality names that they performed.
I think
in the past.
they need like a solid Serie A striker, like a guy who's proven that he's been scoring goals in Serie A.
Who's proven right
I don't know. You need
now?
You need to find somebody who can consistently come off and put the ball into the back of the net. Not somebody, like somebody that's played in Italy before. Maybe a guy like even Sanabria from Torino could be an example, right? Just as a profile. I don't know. I need to go through the roster and see.
Belotti.
That's
I
what
know
I'm
a lot
saying.
of people don't like him,
I know,
but
but I
Belotti
understand
would
what you
fit in
mean.
Fiorentina.
He would be a better fit at Fiorentina than he is at Roma.
But he's not gonna score those
Why
goals
wouldn't
that
he
you
score? I
want.
think he scores those
Because he has
goals.
no. First of all, he has no.
He scores
You need
those
somebody
goals.
that is
When he
deadly into
plays,
the box.
when he plays at Roma, when
You
he
have to
comes
be
in, he
realistic.
doesn't
I'm just saying,
do
if you're
anything,
talking about
produce.
money wise, they can't
Yeah,
go out there and
that's-
spend a lot of money. So Belotti would have been a free transfer. I like it a lot better than some of their other
You
options.
either have to find a diamond in the rough, where you go into these minor leagues, so you try to figure
That's
out.
Cabral.
That's what they
Take
tried
this
doing.
guy.
Yeah,
Cabral.
Cabral.
Yeah, but
They
Cabral-
tried to do that with Cabral. You need a solid Serie A guy, like a guy who's been in the league for a couple of years.
Gonna be a bust,
I'd say Sanabria. Like Sanabria is my example of a guy that he holds the ball up great. He's talented. He's been in the league for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think he's a little bit underrated in the work that he does. Hasn't always been first choice at Torino. There are rumors that he was going to leave to Lazio to help replace Immobile. Like, he could have been a guy that would fit that profile.
Where's Simi? What's Simi doing right now?
Listen,
Simeone?
Simi.
No, he hasn't even played in Serie B. Last place team.
One thing that I think is been missing in Fiorentina, some of those
Simeone could have been.
Listen to me.
If they had Simeone, if they used to have Simeone.
they gave up on them.
I'm saying they used to have Simeone. He was in the roster.
That's right.
Or what about a guy like Zapata or Muriel? They're not playing at Atalanta.
Injury prone though now, right?
They're not playing at Atalanta.
They
That
could have been Zapata or Muriel, either or
one of the guys
both
that's
of
been
them,
in the
or both
league.
of them.
Muriel
That
was
would have
there,
done a
number
job.
9.
Who was there?
But
Muriel was
listen,
there?
I'll tell you what's missing with
We have
Fiorentina.
4 or 5 options. They're all,
Fiorentina
I
has
like
got
them.
4 or 5 midfielders
We're getting
that
commission.
in the past they produced. Look, if you get the Castrovilli pre-injuries, Castrovilli was a spectacular player.
Their midfield's not a problem.
Relax.
I know,
Spectacular.
but I said Amrabat when he used to play in Verona, he scored. He did a lot of assists. He was a lot more productive in terms of.
But I think Amrabat does a lot for the
They play him
Fiorentina
more
team.
deeper.
Bonaventura
They
is
play
the only
Amrabat more deep.
Bonaventura is the only other midfielder, and we should say Barak was also not there, who has been an important part.
That's
too.
true,
He doesn't
yeah.
score a lot of goals, but he's an important part for the team. And
yeah.
Igor wasn't there as a center back as well.
Saponara,
So
all
you're
of
missing.
those players.
You're
I mean,
missing a couple
the
of these.
midfield
But they're
is
also not
there.
producing like
No,
they
the
were last
midfield. The
season.
midfield I agree with.
Spectacular
The midfield I
midfield.
agree with. It's not the problem.
But the production of the players aren't the same from last season. Same thing with Milan, the same case. And the production is not the same from last season. It's a mixture of things.
Problems for Fiorentina. I know they're not happy. Let's move on to a game which me and producer Enrico had a little bit of disagreement on.
Which
Lecce
is?
and Roma.
Oh,
He was asking me about betting on this one. I believe, did you put Roma to win, right? And I told him, I said, listen, Lecce is tough. We know. Lecce at home are a freaking solid squad. Bashkirotto. What a player. What a player. I think he doesn't get the goal, but I don't care. The Italian Hulk, I'm giving him the goal. He's the one who gets it in my book. They play with such an incredible fight and hunger, especially in front of their home crowd. They're one of the teams that came from Serie B. They have incredible fans that push them forward. They play the right way. Like, I watched Strefezza play. Watch Strefezza play football. It's beautiful to watch.
That could be the player that Fiorentina might need.
The thing with Lecce don't just play. You think Lecce just because they're a small team they play like scrappy? They do play that grinta kind of football, but they play some good football too. Some triangles.
Triangles.
High press.
Let me tell you
They
something. If
press
Lecce
high,
would have won the
they
game, nobody
attack
will
nice.
be disputing
But
the
they got some nice
result.
technical players. They do some nice technical plays, so they're not just like a team that's build a wall and just hope from a set piece or we score. So they have some good flashes in there for sure.
The team is built well. Corvino is the sporting director. He's one of the best. He's one of the guys that saw Vlahovic when he was at Fiorentina.
He was at Fiorentina last?
Corvino, yes.
Wait, when did he go to Lecce? He just went to Lecce?
Probably within the last couple of years. He's originally from Lecce, that's why. So like he went back.
A pride thing,
But,
right?
but he was Fiorentina. He got Vlahovic. He got a lot of
Nice.
these players. Chiesa also came up through him, even though he came from the youth system. Corvino is one of these guys that knows talent and he knows how to find and build a team.
Hojlund too. Hojlund in the midfield
Yeah.
for Lecce.
So
Guys everywhere.
Yeah, so that's why I was
Viking.
like, they built even the kid Banda that comes in adds a spark. You have Cisse, who in Switzerland scored a lot of goals, but then you also have Colombo that you worked out a nice deal that you have the option to buy even from a Milan.
They bought it.
And did they
I think
buy
they
him?
bought it. I think
they have
did.
a rebuy.
No.
something like that.
I think
at the end of the
Colombo is no longer an AC Milan player.
So
Producer Enrico.
so you're getting.
Did Colombo fully transfer from AC Milan to Lecce?
Okay, so
Leave it. No, we
So
don't need to.
you're building out this team where you have that classic number 9, you have the fast guy on the side. Strefezza also is another guy who's been in Serie A in the past with Spal and stuff. Di Francesco, another one that comes in and can create something. So you keep to that. And then he also made some of these signings. Baschirotto, this guy has become a sensation, online sensation, but also the way that he
I
plays.
love him.
The girls love him.
I don't know if he gets
They do?
a nomination for the national team, but he can maybe be able to make a move up into a
bigger team.
A bigger team.
Yeah.
You're able to
What?
to get
No, I'm sorry.
what's his name?
Why are you laughing about
What's
it?
the
Just say what
difference?
you have on
just
your
say what
mind.
you have on your mind.
I
No,
know.
I'm laughing because I told when we were watching the game, Antonio was here. I said Bashkirotto, he's like comes from a very hardworking family. He used to have
On
to
a farm, right?
He worked on a farm and he used to have to unload pigs on the farm. That's part of how he got strong and
got
he
that
was
right.
able to play
You
football.
got
And then
that right.
he made a joke. What was the song that you're singing?
Anto was on that farm.
Bashkirotto.
Oh,
Old McDonald.
yeah.
Go say it.
Bashkirotto had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on the farm he had a pig, E-I-E-I-O. Hey,
And
that
a
was
oink,
good,
oink,
right?
And he
oink,
said
oink,
it.
oink.
The thing is, he said it on the spot.
Spot, yeah.
2
You're
seconds
good,
after I said
Anto. You're
Bashkirotto
good.
worked on a
It's
farm.
all
You're
Yeah.
good.
Oh man, I
You're
really
good.
like
That's
the
why you
player.
were laughing?
Yeah, that's why I was laughing.
God.
Because I was about to repeat it, and as I said it, I remembered you saying that.
See? But I was going to say even Umtiti, this guy, besides getting
Oozing of experience,
besides getting
right?
injured, the guy won the World Cup with France 2018. And you have that guy coming to Lecce to play at
Barcelona
Lecce, so
too. Barcelona.
It's
he was
not
there for a while.
it's some good business.
Let's
So
talk
it's
about
a good
Roma
team.
on the other side now.
Oh boy.
Roma, we've been saying the same thing about Allegri, about Inzaghi, we know
Mourinho.
Mourinho already. I mean, the idea is they're right there for Champions
Top
League.
four.
Then if they don't make Champions League this year,
That's
I think it's a failure.
Especially if Juventus don't get those
Yeah.
15 points, which I know Antonio's already giving me the dead eye.
No.
If they don't, then you lose one team that's there,
Nah.
and Roma still can't get into the
Nah.
Champions League. I think that's where
Nah.
people will be really upset if, let's say, an Atalanta or Lazio, of course, for them would be the worst. But those are the moments where they need to be careful. And for me, the guy that I watch and my jaw is dropped is Dybala. Scores the penalty.
He's the only one.
But my gosh, this man, he is everything that's beautiful about football. Like the way that he reads the game is sensational. And the fact that Roma was the only real team that bet on him, that Juventus got rid of him, that he's healthy at Roma,
Inter didn't
right?
go for
He's been
him
good.
either.
Inter didn't go for him. All these teams gave up on such a pure talent. The best player, like when he's healthy, he is.
They were scared though.
Literally
It's a
the
gamble.
greatest.
It's a gamble.
How much
But-
was his
but
sign
Look,
from
look
Roma?
at Juventus though. Look how many
money is he
injuries
getting?
Juventus have.
7?
Like
Yeah.
maybe something's to be said about that as well. Look how
That's
many
true.
muscle injuries Juventus
7,
have this year.
I get it, yeah. And
Or
Roma
in
in
the
the
past
past
years.
I mean, Roma in the past, so they had one of the most in Serie A in terms of injuries. And I just wanted to say that we were talking about from last season to this season, the production of players, how it dropped. We talked about Milan, we talked about Inter, talked about maybe not Juve.
Oh, I know where you're going with this one.
No, I was saying for Roma too. Tammy's not producing like last year. Tammy was on fire. We were foaming from our mouth from Tammy. Did you see Tammy's goal? Did you see Tammy's goal? Pellegrini an assist. What a free kick.
Pellegrini, my
And
gosh.
now, like, if they didn't have Dybala, these guys would be mid-table. Dybala's literally carrying the whole team on he's
By
the only
himself, he's
spark
responsible for at
in
least
that
8
attack.
points
No one
or
else
9
is
points.
doing anything on that team.
But what the hell happened to Pellegrini?
It's crazy.
And
Where how did Pellegrini go from this
Involution,
incredible player
And Tammy
last
too.
year?
I can't fathom it. What happened?
But he's a captain. When you
Yeah,
think of
I
a
know.
captain, and I give them the benefit of the doubt that I hope that he could become there because he has a talent. You don't just lose that. A game against Lecce is tough though. Like to be honest,
know,
when you
it
get
is.
when you get a tie against
But
Lecce,
overall, the whole season.
when you
I'm
look
talking
at
about.
when you look at the results that Lecce have gotten, it's incredible, right? And Inter they were able to win late, right? You won in extra time, I believe. First game of the season, Lukaku scored. You were there. Juventus too. I think they scored late, only by 1 goal. So this is a Lecce side that when you're in Lecce, for me, it's you got to come out not as hurt as possible. For example, but yeah, it is disappointing to see certain players that I said, all right, first half of the season, maybe they're going to come back good after the World Cup break, but Pellegrini is probably the biggest disappointment for me.
I just want to see what's if they don't make top 4. I really want to see what Mourinho says. Honestly, because
What is he gonna say?
what's the excuse now? What's the excuse?
But they're right there. They're right there.
I'm just saying if they don't, I liked Roma to make it because I like the project and stuff. But who do you blame now? The players? Do you blame the coach for this for not producing? Like, what got in Tammy's head? What got in Pellegrini? Like, is the locker room still like? I don't know. Like, I don't
think
know where
it is.
was.
No, I don't think the locker room's
So
the
what?
problem.
Like what?
But they're right there. They could very well get into top 4. So having a conversation about hypothetical of them not getting it.
It
is-
just you drop those points.
But look at
when it
every
was
team.
tough.
But look at every team. There's no team
was
that
there
you
for
could
the
say.
grabbing,
Look at
though,
Milan.
you know?
Look at Inter. Look at Atalanta. Look at Lazio. All these teams have
Yeah,
shown
they're all
how
dropping
consistent.
points.
The teams at the bottom, they come up and they challenge. Like that's one thing that we have to take into consideration. The only team who's been perfect, who doesn't slip up, has been Napoli. Besides that, every other team you could find faults within their squad
It's
and
gonna
say
be a
if
crazy
they don't get
finish.
top 4, because Milan also risks not getting top 4
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. There's a lot of teams in that boat. So there's only 4 spots.
Since we are at this, Mike, why don't we say on the flip coins, Zaniolo leaving Roma, going to Turkey, 26,000 people died on this earthquake. And I think it's something that we should be mentioning. Turkey and Syria, they're going through a very bad stretch, a lot of bad news. And let's hope that Zaniolo just brings some not light, but just the distraction that you need from time to time to keep away from those very, very bad memories. Losing a family member, and I've seen a young kid just being brought out.
The videos
after
are so
3 or 4
scary.
days, just ooh.
Yeah.
And many times we hear just talking about soccer and all the stuff, but we're talking about lives over here. So 26,000 people dying. It's not easy to deal with. So maybe if we do something, we'll see if we can just direct some of the money and the funds to the victim of this terrible event over there.
Yeah, and Anto, I'm happy you said we were gonna say it after, but we do actually have a culture drop, and we are donating a portion of the
25%.
proceeds that we're gonna get to the relief for the people that were affected in this horrible earthquake.
We had a drop ready, but then once we saw this, we knew we had to donate, make a donation. So thank you for everyone who's been purchasing.
We'll have in the top of the description to go check it out. You're helping. It's a greater cause at the end of the day.
You know what? I read new things on Zaniolo. Maybe we'll wrap up after this. I don't know if anyone's got any other topics, but I read Zaniolo's mom's interview. I don't know if you guys heard it. You know what? I kind of see his side now. Of course, there's he said, she said, right? But the one thing that they brought up was after the Conference League, I think the question was like, what happened since he scored the winner in the Conference League? She said it was incredible joy. We're so happy. But when they got into the summer, they had a reflection, and he wanted to see what else was out there for him, which is normal for any player. He wanted to see if he could go to a bigger market. They informed Roma. Roma said, we are only selling Zaniolo for an evaluation of 50 to 60 million. No team came in and gave him 50 to 60 million offers. Again, this is his mom's word, so take it for what it's worth. So when he decided to stay, he said, we were happy. Fine, we stayed at Roma. No offers came in that met the 60 million, but they start talking about a renewal. So Roma wants to renew him. They come and they say, all right, you value him at 60 million. So now if you want to renew him, you got to pay him like he's worth 60 million player. What you would pay a 60 million euro player. That's where things started to be able to break down. Roma not wanting to really show real pursuit into signing him. And that's where they say it came to a point where in January he said, all right, now I want to move on. The offer from Milan was not there. They couldn't satisfy the offer to Roma because he was ready to go. He was happy to go there. She says a lot of the figures that were reported about Bournemouth were not correct. And then, of course, he had this whole falling out with Rome where he was never going to be able to get back into the team. Now, the one moment where I say I do agree with him, because, again, we're going based off of what she says. We don't know if it's actually true. But I do see the merit because I know oftentimes we like to bash a player. I've seen everyone kill the kid for what he's done, right? And oftentimes we say, oh, players are only thinking about the money. But at the same time, I do agree with her in the sense that if Roma value him at 60 million, you want him 60 million for another team, then you can't offer him a 2 million euro salary. Players that are worth 60 million, they make 3-4 million, 4.5 million, whatever it is. So if you're going to evaluate him at that, then you also should value him at the same sense.
Don't give a BS offer.
That's my only thing. Again, we don't know Roma's side. But in this scenario, if what she was saying is true, I do understand Zaniolo's side. Mistakes were made from him. The way that he acted throughout this, 100% mistakes were made. But I do get that side to him. And I know you work in this business. What do you think?
Oh, you said it best. I mean, unfortunately, the team is going to do what's in their best interest. Yeah. So even for a player, like there is the project behind it, but there's a financial part of all this. There's a business behind this. So it's like as if you go shopping, right? If you go to the store and you get one store sells the same apples at $1 and the other store sells the same apples at $5, where are you going to go shopping? Unless there's other tangibles or other scenarios or factors that come in and influence you to buy the $5 one, you're going to always try to get the value for the money that you have. So, that's one thing. And so even for someone that's an agent or someone that represents these players, your objective is the player as your number one priority. And then that's where you have this kind of standoff, but it doesn't have to be a hostile environment. It's more so just as anything else.
Let's talk.
Where you're bargaining,
Right.
you're trying to negotiate, and this happens, in regular, in the regular world, outside of the sports world. You think of maybe real estate, because that's something that's more similar to like the asset value of a player, where they can own a player to be able to sell him, right? And then also the salary side. So like even when you go to buy a house, you're putting a bid in first. Now it's a little bit different, because supposedly they're selling for over the sticker price or the market value. But you go in and you're going to negotiate. You're trying to get that house for the cheapest amount of money, and it's the same thing. So I 100% agree with you as far as the agent and the mom, whoever's managing the player, have to try to get the most, because also your career is short.
Very short.
So you have to be able to make sure that you're getting paid what you should be getting, and what you could be getting. Because if you went to another team, chances are you would renew your contract for a lot more. But
or at least what they value you. Because there's definitely something to be said, and there's been plenty of examples, right, of a player who plays in a certain market and is paid, let's say, $2 million euros. And then a big team, let's just say Real Madrid, for argument's sake, come in and they offer you. But you have to take into account, all right, they offer you $5 million. Am I going to play there? Am I happy where I am? Am I good with my team? Those are important things to take into consideration. So my thing for him is like, I have a feeling that Roma at some point throughout the season started to say, maybe he's not worth what we think he's worth.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely what didn't help was the fact that he had no production this year. So usually,
you prove him wrong when your contract
exactly.
expires.
You could have the conversation in the beginning of the season, which is very common. You have these conversations and you try to work on something, and then
you score goals.
Yeah, if you start performing or putting up numbers, all of a sudden Roma's gonna say, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna pay you and be able to increase the transfer, market."
I bet that. I bet that a little bit of that for Roma is like,
Leao is on the same situation now.
If we could get 35 million, 40 million from him now, we might be able to get a cheaper alternative that's going to produce and that's not going to cause us this headache of asking us for more money. So it's kind of like, I think he played his cards wrong, Zaniolo. I'm not happy with the way that it went, but
to me, Berardi is much better than Zaniolo on that position.
Berardi hasn't proven on a bigger stage.
Oh, please. Berardi is proven on the national team. I mean,
he
missed
proven on the national team.
Listen, Berardi's got quality.
Should I remind? No, I'm not even going to.
I like how you just changed it. He has got quality.
What were we going to say?
He's got quality, but he still never made that step above, which is fine. Listen, I'm glad that there's also a Sassuolo that is a small, he's a bandiera de la squadra.
He's loyal.
But also that Sassuolo is still a team where they can be able to keep their players, and that's something that's very
yes or no
for the most part.
If they want to
for
stay.
the most part,
if they want, exactly.
For the most part. But I was gonna say, we were mentioning about Zaniolo, but there's been new recordings, I guess, for Juventus. I don't know if you saw, and they were talking about Chiesa and Chiesa's agent. And the fact that, the same type of thing, like they're money hungry or they want more money. So he's not a player that could stay for long. So there's
which is
a lot
normal. It's like, like conversations that you have within companies.
Yeah, I think that's basic talk.
I think that's like stuff that you just say to people that you work with.
No, but I was going more so to say like all these teams already know what's happening. There's already a preparation. So you already know what to expect and how much someone's going to come in and ask for. And you already have a value of what you're going to be able to give to the player. So nothing is oh my God, I can't believe Zaniolo asked for a raise. That's not the case.
Everyone. I mean, look what happened with Mbappe this summer.
Exactly.
That's probably the biggest case we've ever seen. I mean, the Prime Minister of France had to go in and call Mbappe and tell him to stay in Paris.
Basically co-owner
so
of PSG.
Chiesa might be on the block for you guys?
I did not say that. No.
You're gonna be on Gazette.
Don't put words in Peter's mouth.
I wouldn't blame him. Somebody comes from Manchester City or Guardiola said, "Hey, I like to buy your services over here to play for me at Manchester City." What do you say?
That's a
Buy your
very different
services.
service. That's a very different service.
One other thing before we go.
You think that the guy is loyal to Juventus? That guy doesn't give a crap about Juventus.
One other thing before we go, the VAR. So we've seen a couple cases with this, right? There is the one with Lautaro and Inter. We have a group chat where we always are sending these. It's offsides. Let's just say this.
Technically.
Blanket statement. He is offsides. Yes. According to the rules, they got it correct. I'm not arguing with the rules. It's true. My argument is when I'm watching football, as a football fan, the attacker has no advantage in any of these plays, the ones that are taken off. There is no advantage that Lautaro had on the one that he's off, on Vlahovic that he's offsides, whereas his ear is slightly offside. Right. So for me,
what about Castrovilli?
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like his stud is offsides from
You can't
Ranieri.
believe this nonsense.
For me, it's like
nonsense.
Can we not find a better way to do the offsides?
Is there?
People say, okay, but look, it's black and white now. It's nice. For me, I don't enjoy it like this. Maybe we put if your foot is not behind or something, because or just common sense, like.
So what is that part of your body?
But you can't say common sense because everyone's
common
going to be
different. If you look at it and you say, does the guy have an advantage or does he not have an advantage?
But if you have to have run on paper, what do we do? 5 inches? That's the gray area. Like what is it?
You can say.
No, but I'm saying if you're a referee and you watch it, it's just like a red card.
You can't
Wait,
do it
was
like
the foul?
that.
Did he go in hard enough? Is that a red card?
Because it's going to be too different for the things. I think it's going to be maybe a leeway. 5 inches is like the difference at the side.
5 inches is a lot.
Or whatever the case is. Whatever the case. I'm just saying you need. I get what you're saying.
Or I like Peter.
Close.
Peter's got a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, in the MLS, what they do is they don't have the line show up and they're trying to organize and move it over. Though. The concept is that they go to VAR and they freeze the frame as we all see it on the TV, right? Okay. And then at that point, the referee goes there, and if he can clearly see that there's an offside or there isn't any clear evidence or, like Marco said, there's no real advantage there that he could be off by a little bit or he can't be.
Then you don't call it.
When the goal stands and he doesn't call it. So you leave a little bit more to the interpretation of the referee.
Regardless of the camera's angle, regardless of the camera's angles.
But the thing is, by having a 5-inch leeway, you're creating a gray area.
Because so are you with that.
If you give Mbappe,
that's also gray area though.
Yeah, but at least the referee is going to look at the TV and he's going to be able to see the line.
For sure, there's no solution that we're going to say that has no counterpart. Every single one does. My point is that I don't want to be playing in a FIFA video game where any little thing, his freaking nail is offside.
As accurate as possible.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you play football,
I get what you're saying.
As a football, you realize that the guy has no advantage on that. Like, why doesn't the attacker get the benefit of the doubt? His feet are so far behind. Yes, his head is slightly over, but for me, again, the way that I see the game, yes, it's right that it was called 100% based on the rules of today. My thing is, there has to be a way, and I don't think that this will last very long with the way that it is today. Maybe yours is the right solution where you look at it, you're not zooming in and looking, because then you'll find everything. It's like when you slow down a foul. You slow down a foul, everything looks like a red card. But when you watch it in live time, if you can't see it in live time, that's it. Then it's not the call.
Me, I don't like interpretation because this ref is interpreted different. This ref is like, if we had this ref from last week, it wouldn't be there. And it's just too many variables.
But that's a refereeing problem.
I get it, but why don't you I get what you're saying. It's a little strict to do it like this. But it's just more consistent.
It doesn't feel like football. Like it doesn't feel like a game anymore.
But then we're gonna be like if we had the ref from last one that was more easier on the calls, it wouldn't have been a goal.
You can still draw the line. When you draw the line, you're not gonna see the little forehead that's sticking out. Or if the guy has a big nose, he's gonna be offside.
I would be offsides every time.
You know.
Listen,
where's my advantage?
We fought so hard to implement the VAR and to make sure that the VAR works the proper way.
And now we hate it, right?
Now
this is semi-automated offsides.
Yeah, but right now that the science, we just disputing science. Okay, the science is they draw a line, the laser line. If Peter's shirts is a little bit an oversized shirts, it's too bad. Next time wear a little tight shirt, Paisan. So what I'm trying to say is we fought so hard to bring the VAR in to
it's
avoid.
True. Which is fine, but we live and we learn. That's what I'm saying.
I think we have to live and die by this.
No.
We have to live and die by this.
We would never advance as a society if we did that.
That
it was great. It's great that it got implemented. That's something that we all wanted. But now that we're seeing it in action, for me, as a fan, I say I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like watching in that sense. I like it when you actually can tell if it's an event.
But regardless, even if the both goals were given, you would still have the same result, right?
Yeah. So what happened? No, but I don't care about the game, the result. There was the one with Lautaro. That's why I brought it up with Inter. There's a few of them that it drives me crazy when they zoom in and then you just see the guy's freaking
the pixels on the guy.
That bothers me.
I get
the forehead, a piece of his eyebrow.
I think we're gonna advance from this, but I don't know what we're talking about is the way to go.
Maybe
but I
the
do
feet.
think
What
there
about
should
the
be
feet?
something better.
What about the feet not being offside?
Why?
Like his
what?
feet were so far behind.
No, you
What do
see,
you mean
for
the-
example,
Ahead of the play, like Vlahovic's feet. If you see Vlahovic's feet on
Yeah.
that play, like his feet are behind,
Okay.
and that's what really
And
gives you
his
an
shoulder
advantage.
was-
Yeah, then his head that was slightly above.
So he's saying just
You're
his feet?
sprinting already, but
This is the reasons why I shaved
Yeah,
my
that's
head. I
true.
don't want my hair to.
No,
to,
Peter's right.
You know,
Your body was forward already, so you had that
Mike,
advantage.
that's why I
Here's the
shaved my
point.
head.
And if the other guy was straight, you don't have the advantage of him already.
But we're talking
moving
about
forward.
such minimal things.
I know,
Like
but we want to do it exactly.
it's
We want to
so
do it.
minimal.
That makes
it's
a
so
difference.
minimal.
It
Okay.
I'm so
We
sorry
fought
to
so
hear
hard for
that.
this,
We
right?
fought so hard.
We're gonna live and die with it.
Yes, sir. That's it. Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
I was making fun of you.
All right,
but it
guys.
was
Oh, you're
funny.
making fun.
Thank you everybody
Oh,
for
wait.
watching. We'll talk to you soon.
Atalanta beat Lazio 2-0.
Atalanta beat Lazio.
Oh, that was good.
I think that was a big
good.
one.
That way kept
I
AC
expected
Milan
more
a
from
little
Lazio.
higher. That way Lazio didn't overtake us, and Atalanta and AC Milan they tied. That was a good point, Mike. So that means we're not really sinking at the rate of Titanic. We're just sinking slightly,
Slowly,
little
a
by
small
little.
little hole in the ship.
So he brings up
Small little
Atalanta
hole.
Lazio, and you just take
Bring
it
back to
AC
Milan.
Yeah, no.
We
for
live
me-
and die for Milan.
For
right,
me,
Anto?
I wanted to see everything in function of AC Milan. That's my team.
And body,
Yo,
and body. of
Hojlund,
course, right?
my gosh, what a
There
player.
you go.
Hojlund is going to be sold for over 50 million.
He's good.
Who's telling you that it's going to be sold?
Peter.
He's going to be sold.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
He's
He'll be
very
sold.
selective.
There was one play that he had where he dribbled past the entire Lazio defense and he nearly scored it one-on-one. But the speed that he used in his acceleration at 19 years old, the man he's got good balance too for a big dude. He's very balanced. He's technical on the ball. He's fast. He's sat everyone else on the bench. Zapata and Muriel on the bench. It's him and Lukman, the other two players. And I'm very happy for Atalanta because they oftentimes, for me, they lacked in the big games, in the direct big matches besides the one against Juventus. For them to get this result in Rome is massive, except that they lost Hateboer to
This
an
is a
ACL
player
tear.
that I want AC Milan to eventually to
All right,
look
stop
at.
with Milan.
I just
Anto.
want to say.
No, we do care about
Yeah.
Milan.
I think
No, we
I'm,
I'm surprised you guys didn't get it yet.
I'm gonna throw a hot take. I think Sarri's gonna leave at the end of the season, and Inzaghi's gonna go back to Lazio.
No.
That's a hot take.
That is a hot
Back
take.
to Lazio.
Spicy.
Inzaghi's not going
How about
back
that?
to
Where's he gonna go?
How
He's
about
gonna be
that bring Sarri
unemployed?
to Inter? Sarri to Inter could be a good solution.
Why?
Yeah, you can make you play Sarri's balls over there.
Please, Sarri.
We'll win.
Yeah, and you'll win. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you for everyone that's watching. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao,
Ciao,
ragazzi.
guys. And Forza.
Forza.
Producer.
The producer.
Yo, my producer is good, man.